Alrighty, so we just finished setting up the virtual tour calendar, or sorry, virtual tour um, confirmed reminder workflow for the events pipeline. It will be best to set this up separately if you have a separate pre-tour survey and you want to also set up separate messaging between events, virtual tours, and regular ones. It is possible to make the wedding one virtual tour calendar, or sorry, virtual tour workflow more generic and create an if then condition so that it would know whether it's a wedding or event to update the correct pipeline. So I can just show you what that would look like in here in the virtual tour. We would make a generic one with just all the confirmations, just talking about virtual tour instead of a wedding or event specific one. And then we would just use the same pre-tour survey for both weddings and events. So you would have to make the pre-tour survey more generic. And then you would just remove any of the images that had to do wedding or event specific. Then what you can do is for the update opportunity, you'll just want to add an if then statement. So if then action, then you can make the condition is wedding or event. And then we can choose the one condition is wedding. And that would be the contact details would have the type of event. So we can type in type. So what type of event are you hosting? That's the question they fill out on the opt-in form. So you'll just have to make sure that that's selected so that it will know which type of event. And say is wedding. And then we can duplicate this branch, and this will be for event. And we'll say what type of event it is. That's why I'd like to duplicate it, so that's already filled out. We can say special event. And then we would save that action, and then you can have these separate paths. You can move all actions from here to the none so that it still gets confirmed, and then depending on which one, you would want to move action here for event so that it's in the event pipeline, and then you could copy this action to wedding, and then this one would be a wedding. So you can label it wedding tour confirmed. And then you would want to update the pipeline to the weddings couples journey and the tour confirmed stage there. And then same for this, you'd want to do event confirmed in the event pipeline. The tour confirmed stage, it's a virtual tour, so we'll leave the contact name in the virtual tour for the name. And then we can just add go to steps to go to the next step down here. We'll save it. And then we'll add one here. And that's how you would set up the condition. And then if that's not filled out for the contact, if you don't have the wedding or event filled out, it will go to none, and then it won't update them in the in any of the pipelines. So you'll just want to make sure to have that opt-in form filled out, and that'll just be under the contacts info. So if we go to contact, if you wanted to say change it for Test Jane, you could click into their contact profile, and then it'll be under the opt-in form. You can see what type of event they're hosting. Select wedding or event, and then that will determine which pipeline they get updated into under your opportunities sections, whether it's an event or wedding. And then if there's none, then it will just stay in the same stage, and then you'll have to just manually update the opportunity yourself. You can just go into the opportunity section, and basically if they're in the interested stage and they book a tour and you don't have that filled out, you'll just have to move them from that stage to the tour confirm stage manually. So that's how you would set it up if you were using OneFlip workflow, is you'd have to make all the emails generic to either wedding or event, and then set up this condition to update the correct pipeline. If not, then I can go ahead and delete all this, and I'll show you how to set up the new calendars to have virtual tour event scheduled to. Sorry, you would also have to copy that same automation, if then condition, and then set it up for the tour results survey stage as well, so that they'll be updated to the right stage in the right pipeline for the after the tour to update the status. So that makes it a little bit more complex to have to set it up that way, or we just set it up with a different calendar as the trigger. So instead of having the virtual tour for weddings, I'll show you how to set up a new calendar for events. So we just come under the calendars tool. We can come under the calendar settings. That will give us our calendars. So we can just edit the calendar name for virtual tours and add that. Make it a wedding virtual tour. We can just update virtual wedding venue tour. Looks good. We can save that just to distinguish between the two. And then what we can do is just copy that calendar to make it real easy to duplicate it. That will take all the same calendar settings we have set up, and then we can just edit it to be an event. And we have the wedding calendars, so we can add this one to the event calendar group if we want to. And close out. And then that will give us the group in the event calendars. So I think it will actually make sense. That one's event booking. You can actually change this to booking calendars, so this will have our wedding booking and event booking calendars in it because they are not client facing. And then we can change this one to event tour calendars. Then we'll want to move that event booking calendar to the booking calendar group. So now we have the virtual wedding venue tour and the venue tour calendar along with the on-site private venue tour for weddings. Change that group to wedding to distinguish between the two. And so we don't need so now we have the event tour calendars, the wedding tour calendars, and booking calendar groups. So wedding tour, we should have the virtual and normal tour calendar. So virtual wedding tour, on-site private tour and the wedding calendars, virtual event tour and the event tour, and event tour calendar and the event tours. And then we have both our booking calendars in the booking folder with the availability calendar. So that should all be good. Now we have the event tour calendar set up. That was the copy. We can edit the settings to update the meeting title so we can distinguish. This will be what uploads on the Google Calendar, so it's nice to know that the contact name, then what type of tour, event tour, goes put on the calendar. So we are setting up the virtual event tour was a new calendar we set up. So we can edit that. It's nice to have the virtual event tour in the calendar. Can rename the URL, virtual event tour. Change the description to be about events. Save it. You can set the availability if you want to have, if you have separate availability that you want to give tours for events than weddings. Leave it just pretty open for now. 30-minute long, 1 hour duration, or 30-minute intervals, 1 hour long duration, 1 day scheduling notice. Then you can choose how much time you want before or after the event before to give you for buffer time. Don't need to set up any forms or payments for that. Notification, since we're setting up all of our confirmation workflow in a automation, we don't need to set up just a basic acknowledgement email unless you want one. You can connect it to your Google Calendar, whichever one that you want it to sync events to, and then check for conflicts. And you can change the colors if you want to, or add your logo to make it look nice for the calendar widget. So now we've set up the virtual event venue tour, and we have the calendar group for event tour calendars. You can now just get the permanent link for the event tour calendar group, and we can get this widget here. And then that will allow us them to even choose whether or not they want a virtual tour or an in-person venue tour, just from the link we set up in the schedule a tour link that we set up for the call to action button in the emails, which we can change in the custom value section for the event booking link. So I just wanted to update the event tour calendar to have a description so it looks good. You can edit that, just copy the description we have in the virtual, close out, and then go into the event tour calendar, add a description, so it all looks good. So I'll just update it so that we have that, and then if you want to, you can even add extra photos that look nice like we did for Legacy Farms here. So you can set it up to have your booking widget have photos next to it, so they have the option for in-person private tour, virtual venue tour, budget and vision, phone chat if you want to, or a discovery call. And then you can also separate it for weddings or events with using the different calendar groups and setting up different calendars. That way, if you have a different team member that handles weddings, or like an event coordinator and a wedding coordinator that meets with them, you can schedule them on separate calendars for different team members, and then you would just come under the workflow and then change who the user was assigned to. So now that we have the calendar set up, we can come under our automation section, and then go into our event booking funnel and then connect our virtual tour for events to the virtual tour for events calendar that we just set up. So we come under the status, tour confirmed, virtual wedding venue tour. We'll want to go to the virtual event venue tour, save the trigger there, and we saved it. And that's how you would set up new calendar groups for all of your events and a new booking calendar for your event. And if you wanted them all added to the same schedule, the best way to do that is just to connect your Google Calendar and to both those calendars, the event and the wedding tour calendar, and then they'll both be getting added to the same calendar and checking for conflicts on the same calendar. So we have that all set up. This is changed to events. We can go through and double check that all of our other triggers are set up correctly to events. This is where you could assign it to a different user if you had a separate team member that handled tours for events that knew, all of your details and was more versed with throwing events and all the budgeting and pricing and inclusions and everything. You can assign it to a different team member to handle those tours. That in the events pipeline, Tour confirmed, that looks good. All of our pre-tour survey links are updated in our emails, which should go to the pricing brochure name, pricing brochure for events. Pricing brochure for events. The pre-tour questionnaire should go to the pre-tour questionnaire for events. Pre-tour survey for events. Looks like it is, so it's MO39 and the 4E4G. I like to just remember those last 4 digits. That makes it easy to check these. MO39, MO39. You would put the link to the meeting in the calendar settings under the calendar location. So for the virtual tour for events, if you used a different meeting room or because you wanted to do events at the same time as virtual tours for weddings with a separate team member, you could come in here and just add a different Zoom or Google Meet link in the meeting details section. You would put that in the meeting location for the calendar. And then that'll pre-fill in the meeting location for it to send them the link to join. So now we've done the virtual tour confirmed. Check the settings, just make sure it's not going to send out. This one looks good. Now we can publish that one. And then start going through the next workflow is the event booked tour results survey. So in the tour results survey, we'll probably want to now add a type of event question so that we can separate it from by the type of event. So to update the form for your post-tour survey, so that your team member can update the outcome of the tour to put them in one of the follow-up workflows for after they've came to tour, you are going to want to go into your sites section and update the survey. So you can go to Builder and Nurture Pro, and then we have the tour results survey. So we have the result of the tour. We're also going to want to add the option to select. You can use that same opt-in form field. That way it knows the type of event they've opted in on from the beginning. And we can add that in here. So what type of event? Oops. And then if you want to update the form to look any prettier. I like doing the 2 columns. Let's see, under styles. Change the footer color, the background. Alrighty, so we have added the what type of event are you hosting to the tour results survey. There's the query key, so that's what we'll want to update in that trigger link we had. So we can go over here. I said dynamically populated. So open a new tab and go to my trigger links. So for the tour results survey, we're going to want to update the trigger link to include all this information. So let's see. Leave that there. Then we want it to pre-fill the first name, last name, email, and phone number for them. So we can add that in there. We're going to want this one. What type of event are you hosting to pre-fill equals the custom field value. So let's see, we can go into custom fields. And then we can search the type of event, or we could go to the folder. So we're going to want to take this what type of event are you hosting and copy the unique key for that, and then enter that in here. So now that should pre-fill what type of event you're hosting for them as well. Save that. Now that we have that there, I believe we can get rid of the extra stuff in the tour results survey workflow. For the event booking funnel, tour confirmed reminders. Need to go down to the tour results survey email. Edit that. So now that we have that in the trigger link, we don't need to put it in here. You can just link this directly to the tour results survey. That linked. Sometimes if I can't see it all, I just zoom out. So yeah, that's linked too. So I'm going to want to update that to tour result survey trigger link. Make sure the button updated. And then save that. And we can add the trigger link in here now. This reminder should be the same. Add the link to the tour results survey. And test it if you want to. So now you can see the test text message that went out. You can click on the link and it'll open up the tour results survey. And then pre-fill all that information that was already entered for her so that they just have to update the result of the tour. Pretty cool little trick. So now that we have the event type updated for the tour results survey, we can now go and set up the rest of the workflows. So we can come out of the survey, come back to our workflow list and automations, and then come down to the tour completed event book stage. Can then set up the trigger for that. So we'll want to filter it by type of event now. And then we'll want to select special event. Save it. And we are only using the survey, so we no longer need this form. I'm just going to delete that. We don't need that in there. We just want the survey. Save that. Now I want to add the tag, tour completed, booked wedding. We'll want to change that tag actually to book event. Say tour completed, booked event instead of the booked wedding. Delete the wedding tag. Save that. And then here we can, instead of going to the wedding workflow, we'll obviously want to go into the event confirmed for events workflow. And that will send out the confirmation email and any follow-up nurturing you have from a booked event to send out contracts or anything like that, proposals. So there we have event confirmed. And then something else you can do for the tour results survey. And we can add the event booking calendar on this page too, so it's really easy just to, oops. So we can just add the script for the HTML. I want to add that in there to add our custom coding. For this, we'll want to add some code. So we can add the code here that will pull the custom value for the booking calendar. We can set that up here in a minute, and that way we can enter in the booking calendar link so that it's real easy to just have on the survey form for them right here. So if we go into our custom values, we're in our custom fields. I want to go to custom values here on the side. And then we can see if it's in here yet. So we have the trigger link for the book wedding calendar. We'll want to update that to the trigger link for the book event calendar. Doesn't look like we have one yet. We have the tour calendar booking link for events. So we'll want to add one for the event booking calendar, and then we'll get that from our calendar settings. So if you only want to offer, okay, so there it is. Yeah, so for our event booking calendar, we'll want to go and copy, go to the three dots on the right, go to our share link, and then copy the permanent link. This will be for your internal team to book events that you have scheduled. So then we can come back to the trigger link for the event booking calendar. Oops. Enter it in the value there, create it. Then we can go find the event booking calendar link, copy that, and then put it into the custom value in that coding we just added. So for the event booking calendar, we'll want to edit this one and add our trigger link event booking calendar. So we can save that, save this. Just rename this one so we stay consistent. Wedding booking calendar, and update it. So now we have that code added to the tour result survey form. So now we can go and preview what it'll look like if we want to. Instead of that. Let's refresh the page. So now it's got a wedding or a special event. Select showed and booked wedding. We'll want to update that result field. Just say booked instead of wedding or event, and save it. And since we updated that field, we'll have to go and re-update our workflow triggers in the workflows. So like since we updated that, we'll also have to go back into our wedding booking funnel and update the outcome for tour completed, wedding booked for the tour result form. You can see here now, since we changed that value, we'll have to reset it up. Oh, sorry, that's the form. And this is the survey. So we'll have to set this to showed and booked for the survey. We'll also need to add the type of event for the wedding so that they don't get added to the wedding pipeline. Type of event are you hosting? That will be wedding. Save it. Don't need this form. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all these. Since we don't use a form, we use a survey. So now we can come into the rest of our workflows for the tour completed did not book for weddings, and then just make sure we have the type of event that needs to be selected. Save it. So now that's for weddings. Go back. We'll go to the did not book, the no-show for the weddings, and the canceled, and just update the outcomes. So no-show, we're going to want to update that to type. Make that for weddings. Oops, sorry, that was the form. I need to get rid of that form. So be for the survey. You can add the filter to the type of events. We'll do this one for wedding. Save it. Then we'll do the canceled. So we can add from the survey results the type of event. Do it for weddings. So if you fill out the survey, it gets canceled, and then update the status, cancel the appointment, update the opportunity, so on, then try to get them to rebook. This one will be if you just update the appointment in the appointment status, and then the same for the virtual venue tour. If you cancel it, it will update the status here. We'll save it. So those triggers all look good. That will be connected to the wedding booking calendar, and now all of the tour result surveys, we'll make sure to put them in the correct pipeline, in the wedding pipeline instead of the event pipeline, since we have set up the condition for that. So now we can go back to our event funnel and setting up the conditions for all of your events. So we have the event booked. We just did that one, I believe. Tour results survey for events. What was the result of the tour? We're going to want to say showed and booked, since we changed that, and then it'll be for a special event. And the survey is the tour results survey. Save that, add the event book tagged, and then we'll add it to the event confirmed workflow for events. Save it. Oh, looks like we're done with this one. We'll publish it. Save. Go back to workflows. Come to the tour completed did not book. Then we can work through this. We don't need this form, so we can delete that. We're no longer using it. Date this to survey, since we are using the survey. And the tour result form did not book, and then we'll want to add the type of event. We'll set it to special event, and then save the trigger, and save it. And then you can come through and update all these to events. So we're going to want this one to be removed from the event tour confirmed. Tag them, and then update the opportunity and the event pipeline. Tour completed did not book stage. Save that. Can assign to the user, and then thanks for touring. We'll want to update the copywriting for the text, which it looks like we're good. Add the location name to this so that they see the venue name. Save it. Can update this to the events one. Save it. Want to make sure to update any pictures we have attached. Change this to events. Can copy the signature we added up here. Save it. Want to update the lock and the date to the events. Looks good. Update email 3 to the event email. Subject and from name looks good. Change this copywriting to event. Save that. Email 4, we can add to email 4 for events. Save that, save that. Change this to event. Save that, save it. Looks good. We'll tag it as lost, and then we will add them to the lost lead survey, which can stay the same.